What a lot of people do is they'll look at their smartphone,
Right.
and all they'll see is icons with a sun and a lightning bolt and a high and a low temperature.
Right.
And that's all they'll look at. And so that for a meteorologist is tough.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Perez.
And I'm Wesley Long.
And we're bringing you a fresh new take on disaster preparedness.
Welcome to Disaster Class.
We'd just like to welcome everybody to another episode of Disaster Class. I'm Jason Perez.
And I'm Wesley Long.
And we are very excited to welcome to the show a meteorologist, lifestyle, natural disaster preparedness expert, and founder of Prepare With Cher, Cheryl Nelson. Cheryl, welcome to Disaster Class.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're very happy to have you and tap into your experience. In fact, just looking at your profile, you're an award-winning TV host, an AMS certified broadcast meteorologist, 2 decades of experience on TV, appearing on Fox News, BBC World News, CNBC, the Weather Channel, just to name a few. So we're very excited to tap into some of your experience.
Oh, thanks, guys. And I want to thank you for doing this as well. You're putting so much great information out there for the public to listen to. It's very needed in this day and age.
Agreed. That's why we do
Awesome.
it.
Yeah, thank you very much. So maybe we could start off just a little bit about your background. So you're a meteorologist. What led you into that field?
Oh my gosh. It was so funny because I was the shyest little girl. You would never believe it. I grew up in Connecticut until I was 9 years old. And I always had this obsession with snow in particular. Snow was my passion because we got a good amount of snow in Connecticut. We moved to Richmond when my family decided to move down that way when I was 9. Now, Richmond, sometimes they get snow, sometimes they don't in Virginia. You never know. It's I-95 always seems to be that dividing line between the snow and then the sleet, freezing rain and rain. But whenever there was a potential for a winter storm, I would be glued to all the information I could find. I would watch at the time all 3 meteorologists on the 3 networks, because back then we didn't have social media and all the other ways to get weather forecasts. So the 6 p.m. news was where I would be. Okay, I got to watch. And I would tell my friends, it's going to snow. Don't do your homework. You don't have to worry about it. Was I always right? We're going to say most of the time. Remember, weather is an inexact science. But it was the snow. That's what led me to want to be a broadcast meteorologist. I remember, though, when I was in middle school, we had these meetings with our guidance counselor, and the guidance counselor was kind of saying, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a broadcast meteorologist. And you know what she did? She laughed at me because I was so shy.
Yeah,
I don't blame her. I probably would have laughed at myself as well, but I knew I had to come out of my shell. Yes, but I'm tenacious. So I decided to join theater in high school. Theater and pageants. That's how I came out of my shell. And now here I am today. Now I could care less.
Awesome. What a journey.
Yeah. And I care less about what people think about me, I should add. Yeah.
That's really cool. So it was interesting what you said in there. Even at that young age, sometimes you were right, sometimes you were wrong in predicting the weather. So, people often complain that the weatherman or the weather person is wrong. So how difficult is it to really forecast the weather?
Great question. I always tell people, look, meteorology, it's an inexact science. Mm-hmm. If we could accurately 100% predict exactly what was going to happen at any pinpointed place, we would be billionaires. I kind of compare us to being fortune tellers because we predict the future. That's what meteorologists do. We have data, we have computer models, we look at all of this, and we use that to make our own forecasts. But it's tough, and people have to realize that it's something that, we're using our experience and our knowledge to make these forecasts, but they got to take it a little bit with a grain of salt and be somewhat forgiving, because I've been told go jump off a bridge. This is when we had a busted forecast for snow in Hampton Roads, Virginia. I mean, I don't blame people. They were mad. They took off work. School was canceled. But still, you don't call me a dumb blonde bimbo, or you don't say my dog can forecast better than you, or give your degree back. But that's what people were saying. And they love to attack the meteorologist on TV. And I have to remind people, we're all human. I'm human as well. Everybody makes mistakes. It's, again, I'll stress, an inexact science.
Right.
Yeah. Not to mention you're working with very complex data. That's like, for those people who are, it's like, okay, if you can explain how this works and the science behind it, then sure. Like, but people, that's crazy.
It is crazy. I took so much calculus. I took classes up to calculus 5 at Penn State. Wow. A lot of physics, dynamics, a class called radiative transfer, atmospheric chemistry, you name it. There are so many classes that you have to take to become a meteorologist. And then there's all of these different computer models now. And the computer models are taking the data, and they all have different sets of formulas and equations that these computers run to come out with the output or their forecast. And then as a meteorologist, we have to look at all of these models and say, okay, which one of these is the most accurate and why? And we have to look at current conditions and see how the models are doing and use our own expertise. There's a lot that goes into it that I think the public doesn't realize.
Oh, yeah. Most people have no clue.
Yeah.
So as you said, it's an inexact science, and it's already, just from what you described, and a lot of this is going over my head. So it's already a very difficult job. But now, we're starting to see these really drastic weather patterns, climate change, things like that. Is climate change is it impacting how the accuracy of this data? Is it impacting our ability to forecast weather events?
I wouldn't say it's really impacting our ability to forecast. I think our ability to forecast is getting better because the computers are getting smarter. And the meteorologists know this, and we have our own expertise. What climate change is doing is adding more things like extreme weather events. We're seeing more extreme heat. There's more moisture in the atmosphere because the global temperatures are warmer, and warmer air can hold more moisture, which is why we're seeing more intense rainfall. So we're seeing things like that. We're seeing drought in other parts of the country, which leads to wildfires. So that is where climate change is coming in, even more intense hurricanes sometimes as well. But the forecasting accuracy of that over time, I would say, is getting better. But the extreme weather events are getting worse.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. Those are really great observations. So in that, here's a question. Do you feel that the general public, the average individual, are data literate in terms of understanding weather forecasts? Do you think we get it? We understand what's going on in that, and then have that appropriate understanding of things? Or what do you think can help people understand the forecasts better and to make appropriate decisions?
It depends how much they delve into the forecast. What a lot of people do is they'll look at their smartphone.
Right.
And all they'll see is icons with a sun and a lightning bolt and a high and a low temperature.
Right.
And that's all they'll look at. And so that for a meteorologist is tough because, well, my weather app said that we were going to have thunderstorms today and we moved our party inside and it didn't rain. And I'm going, okay, well, you got to go and dive deeper and look at more than just the weather app with the icons. That's where your local broadcast meteorologists come in who tell the weather story, or your local National Weather Service office. I always say visit weather.gov. Weather.gov is a great place to go for your local National Weather Service office. Those meteorologists are in your viewing area. They're right there. They know the topography, climatology, geography of your specific location, and they are putting out individualized forecasts. That's where you want to look, and that's where you want to get this information so you know basically what you can expect.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
That's a great resource.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it's awesome because we've been fortunate to be recognized. We actually partnered sort of with NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, who oversees National Weather Service. And so we actually, our company, Instinct Ready, actually has been recognized by them as they call a Weather Ready Nation Ambassador.
Me
so
too.
We have that little badge now, so we're proud of that, because we always put people to them as a resource, because they are a really good resource for weather related.
Yes, that's great.
So.
And one thing I love about Weather Ready Nation and also the National Weather Service, what they do is they're now focusing a lot more on weather impacts.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people to read the National Weather Service discussion, or a lot of local TV station meteorologists have blogs on their pages or their social media accounts, and read what they're saying, because they'll usually explain why this is happening, what the risk is, or what the chance of something happening is, and what those impacts might be, how it might affect you personally. So you got to dive a little deeper. You have to do your research. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people aren't doing, because we're all busy, right?
Yeah.
It's super easy to pick up that app and go.
Yep.
But if you want more information, you got to dig for it.
Exactly.
Amen.
And this is kind of a great transition to this next point, because we're talking about the National Weather Service and literacy. So one of the things, because we have a class that we teach, it's our community emergency planning class. One of the things is just understanding the difference between a watch and a warning. Mm-hmm. Something very simple. Could you explain what the difference between a watch and a warning is for our listeners?
Sure. And like you said, it's simple for us in the industry, because we know what a watch and a warning is. But I've gone out and I've done man or woman on the street interviews, just walking up to people with a camera and asking them that very question. You'd be surprised that a lot of people, I would say more than 50%, could not explain the difference between a watch and a warning. So what I like to tell people to make it easy to remember is a watch. A watch, like what you have on your wrist, means that you have some time. All right, you've got a little bit of time to prepare. Conditions are favorable for the development of potential severe thunderstorms, if it's a severe thunderstorm watch, or with the potential tornado, a tornado watch. Okay. Now, a warning, when a warning is issued, time's up. You don't have any time. The average lead time for a tornado warning is 13 minutes.
Wow.
So, if that warning goes off in your county, in your area, you have to take action immediately, because a tornado, for example, if it's a tornado warning, a tornado has either been indicated on NOAA weather radar or it's been spotted. Right. So there's no messing around at that point.
Imminent. Yep.
Yes.
Imminent.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Watch,
awesome.
You have some time. I love that.
I've never heard that comparison.
Yeah, I love that. You're definitely going to be using that. Okay, everybody on the podcast, you heard it here first, but we're going to be using that.
Disaster Class is part of the Readiness Lab, the home for podcasts, webinars, and training in the field of emergency and disaster services.